At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live action game that takes place throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. I took my daughter there for her birthday a few years ago, and we had the best time. We stayed in one of their themed suites. There was so much to do inside the lodge, as well as all the water fun. The staff were great. The lifeguards were on it too. Would definitely go again. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Until you address the old programming and until you address the pain that was the cause of the old programming, you will continue in that programming. And that old programming says other people are in charge of me getting my needs met. So I need to please, I need to perfect, I need to work harder, be better, do more. And so now we get the beautiful, deep, excruciating, wonderful work of saying, I'm your girl now. I'm your adult. I'll keep you safe. I'll make sure that no matter what, you have a roof over your head, you get the food you need, you get the affection that you need, you get the rest that you need. And if you never got enough of those things growing up, it's going to take some convincing. So just start building that tiny track record.
You're listening to Make Some Noise podcast, episode number 692 with guest Elyssa Smith. Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. I have another amazing guest for you today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her in just a minute. But I wanted to first express my gratitude to those of you who DM me on Instagram or, send me an email if you don't have Instagram. I love getting to read your words of things that, whether it's something that you read in my book, one of my books, or on the podcast. I got a couple beautiful DMs last week from people who really resonated with my grief podcast solo episodes that I've done recently. So thank you so much. This is the stuff that keeps me going to be able to bring that to you. So anything that resonates with you personally, please tell me. Because then I know what is hitting home for you. So thank you for that. And I also got a handful of you who DM'd me about the episode with Dr. Jeff and that you're interested in exploring either psychedelic medicine for yourself and for your own therapy, for your own growth, or coming to Rhythmia. And that's where Dr. Jeff works. And that's how I met him and connected with him. And so I am still taking people who are interested in coming as a group, and that will include personal integration coaching with me. And you get a discount. You get a special discount that I have been able to secure with Rhythmia that you can't get just from their website. So if you're interested in that, I have details now. Please DM me on Instagram and say that you're Aya interested. You can just say AYA because ayahuasca is hard to spell. Or email me, support@andreaowen.com, and I will send over the details within a couple of days. I am looking to bring a group over sometime this fall or later this fall. So please let me know as soon as you are interested. Alrighty, my dears, let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. Elyssa Smith is a trauma-informed life strategist who helps female executives, entrepreneurs, and professionals squash their limiting beliefs and heal from hidden trauma so they can stop playing small and get to their next level faster. Through her own journey of healing from multiple traumas, including an abusive relationship, she studied and developed methods to hack the survival brain, rewiring the limiting beliefs that were keeping her stuck. So without further ado, here is Elyssa. Elyssa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrea.
I'm excited because all of the things you talk about are topics that my listeners resonate. So buckle up, everyone. It's not going to be rapid fire question, but we're going to have a conversation, I think, that will touch everyone's life. I think everyone will see themselves in the topics that I'm going to ask you about. So let's start with procrastination.
Let's do it. Let's dive in deep, man.
Let's dive into the thing that like everybody does, but can't figure out why a lot of times, because I feel like it can be so many different reasons. So how do you talk about this? Like, what are you see that are the root causes of procrastination? And not only that, like, how can we start to address them?
Great question. Okay. So first of all, I just want to preface this. I'm not attacking anyone, and I am my own worst client here with all of this. I only know these things. And I imagine it's somewhat this way for you too, Andrea, that we get really good at studying. And of course, if we're, self-help junkies, we're looking at all the books, we're taking the classes, we're doing the therapy, we're doing the stuff, right? Because we need it. So that's where I started, right? Procrastination is a protector part.
Yeah.
And it travels, I call them the 3 Ps. It travels with perfectionism and people pleasing. Those are its 2 buddies. Mm-hmm. And typically the 3 come together, but you can just have 1 or 2 of the 3. But procrastination is a protector part that wants to avoid a specific result that is a threat to your nervous system.
Yeah.
So we just think it's like, oh, I'm so bad at procrastinating. At least this is where I came from. My whole life, I was procrastinating. I was late everywhere for most of my life. I mean, just all kinds of procrastination and trying to finish things, but like put them off till the last second. And so when I started to recover from my own trauma, I did not recognize the link between procrastination and trauma until further into my journey. But we now know that procrastination, now I'll put a little caveat in here.
Yeah.
If you procrastinate and you just try to stop it and it goes away, this is not you. I'm not talking.
If you're successful,
if you tried to stop procrastinating and you did it, yay, we're giving you a
win.
And I don't understand you and I love you and I wish you well. But if you've tried to get rid of it, there is a strong chance that there is some type of a trauma root underneath here. Now, when I say trauma, most women that I talk to about this see it as like a big war or, being a veteran and, having PTSD
or
and
assault
things like
or something. Yeah.
Huge
big T trauma.
Yes. We call it big T trauma, right? Then there's little T trauma, which is sort of a more ongoing, non-violent type of trauma. And one of the things that I sort of needed to coin for the women that I work with, that I ended up focusing my TEDx talk last year around, is tiny T trauma. Now, the way that I talk about this, it's actually a form of little T trauma. Okay. But tiny T trauma, the way I define it, is smaller emotional needs going unmet in childhood.
Oh, okay.
So this is something where it is not definable by normal, I'm giving air quotes, normal trauma definition, right? Because we don't think about this. But if you ever learned that by completing your project imperfectly, you would be judged as a child. I mean, of course, like, hi, we went to school, right? Most of us.
Yes.
And you got a grade. You literally got judged on the outcome, on the results. We can't control results. And your nervous system knows that. And so as a kid, you would have developed a set of protective behaviors, including procrastination, probably, that would try to guarantee that you're not going to be judged. Because if you're judged, this is where the nervous system goes. Your survival brain, your right brain, goes straight to going to be judged, going to be rejected, going to be abandoned, going to be kicked out of the herd, going to be eaten by a lion.
You're going to die.
Life or death. Going to die. Yeah, exactly. So procrastination is not just a bad habit, ladies. Like it's not
survival.
Yes, you're not just baddest at life. It's literally a survival coping mechanism that is trying to keep you alive by not letting you get rejected. So maybe that's the line of thinking that your survival brain has. For some people, it's, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be a failure. For some people, it's, if I give it my all and I start early on this project or this thing that I need to do, or if I take all the time that I need to do it well, and then it doesn't come out well, that means I'm a failure. Again,
Yeah.
rejection, abandonment, eaten by a predator.
Mm-hmm.
We have high stakes in here. Our system
Yeah.
doesn't know that we live in the current day where we're not cave women anymore trying to survive a saber-toothed tiger attack.
It's a survival mechanism. It's interesting. I like that you said in the very beginning, I want to circle back to that because I also talk about how perfectionism and control are the two, I call them sisters. They're not twins, but they're sisters. And people pleasing is there too. And procrastination. I kind of see it as like a Venn diagram that overlaps. And in the middle is trauma. Like the thing that
Yes.
connects them all is trauma.
Yes.
But I love the tiny T sort of label on that because yes, there's big T, which is like the big egregious things, natural disasters, wars, sexual assault, like abuse, like ongoing abuse, things like that. And there's a little T traumas that happen, like breakups, like high school
Yeah.
breakups,
Bullying,
friend arguments,
mhm.
that are
Losing a pet.
painful. Yeah,
Yes.
that are super painful. And then the tiny traumas are like these little, almost like micro tears. That's how I look at it
Yes.
that happen over time. And I think so much of it too is from well-meaning people, just everyday things. And this is how I talk about parenting too, is that it doesn't matter how many books you read and how great of a parent you think you are. Your kids are going to end up talking about you in therapy because we have no control over how they experience things.
Yep. And it depends on their personality. I joke with my clients all the time if we're touching on a parenting topic, because a lot of my clients are like, I'm passing on my trauma to my kid and I want to stop doing that. And I'm like, yes. And my child has a college fund that he's also allowed to use for therapy. Like I tell him, it's up to you, babe. University, therapy, whatever you need.
So is the addressing part, is that because I can only speak from my own experience and what I've seen clients share with me, but it sounds like digging into the trauma and having the self-awareness around it on the front end so that you can see when you're procrastinating, giving yourself lots of grace and self-compassion around it, and then trying to move through it anyway. Like that's how I would do it. What about you? Do you have extra tips and tricks around that, around addressing it?
Thank you for asking that. It's so juicy. There are so many layers of this,
Yeah.
right? So if you are in a procrastination place, and actually, would it be helpful for me to walk you through what I walk a client through when they're actively
Yeah,
procrastinating?
and use an example. So I think like a common example that I have is that I hear a lot. Let's pick an easy one. So it's somebody who wants to stick to some kind of exercise regimen. I'm not talking about they're going to compete in a bodybuilding. They just want to start walking, 4 times a week just for their mental health, and they keep procrastinating on it and don't do it.
Yep. Oh gosh, we hear this all the time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like my friends, my family, my clients,
Mhm.
everybody. Okay, so here is how I would walk you through that. So the first thing is your brain and your body. The fact that you're procrastinating is a great place to start. Okay, you notice it, right? So
Mhm.
what we know when we see that, you need to take procrastination as a communication. It's not a bad habit. It
Yeah.
is a communication from your body, from your nervous system that says something doesn't feel safe about this.
Mhm.
Okay. So then we ask the question, what doesn't feel safe about this? If you can access the answer to that, or what doesn't feel comfortable about this, right? And I have some clients who have been through sexual assault and they have an inner knowing from before that meant that if they got in shape, they would be more unsafe. So
Mhm.
for a lot of us, we have really good reasons for procrastinating. It's not just, oh gosh, I'm just bad at this, or I don't have value because I keep putting this off. We internalize our procrastination as whether or not we're valuable. Can you go and execute your exercise right away means you're valuable if you can, and you're not valuable if you can't. That's not it at all. Your procrastination is just trying to tell you, hey, something doesn't feel safe about this.
Mhm.
So if you can access the answer to it right away, great. If not, here is what you need to do. So I have a little framework called the 3 S's. And this is the easiest way to get out of survival mode in the moment that I have found, because it communicates with the amygdala, which is the part of the right brain that's in charge when you're in survival mode. It bypasses your logical thinking and it just goes straight there, because that part of your brain, I mean, have you ever tried to talk yourself out of procrastinate? Like it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it
You
doesn't
can't.
work. Yeah.
No. or anxiety, or depression,
Oh, that's my favorite, where people tell you to
right?
calm down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Calm down. Does that work?
Mhm.
No. We all know that doesn't work. We all know that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's because that part of the brain doesn't respond to words. It responds to pictures and it responds to breath and it
Mhm.
responds to body sensations. So the first thing that I tell people to do is the first S, which is safety. And that means take 3 deep breaths. What we're trying to do is communicate to that part of the brain. We're actually not running from that wild animal, and we're actually able to stop and breathe slowly. And so it'll be like, okay, so we're breathing slow. That must mean we're not running. So then the second thing you do is self nurturing. That's the second S. And self nurturing, I think the word self care is nice, but it's been kind of overused and kind of like fluffified.
Yeah,
Right?
co-opted.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's hard to know exactly what self care looks like. So I say self nurturing instead. And what that means is to nurture your 5 senses. So literally, I'm sitting here, you and I can see each other on Zoom. I have a
Mhm.
cup of tea, and this is one of my favorite teas. And it's like really pretty. It's red and it tastes good and it smells nice and it's warm in my hands. How many senses did I just hit in a cup of tea? I mean,
I
you
think
get
all
4
of
out of
them.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So do something small, but let it be something that nurtures your 5 senses. And then the third S is safety. And excuse me, support. The first S
Mhm.
is safety. Third S is support. And when I say support, I mean green light people only people that are going to validate you endlessly. They're not going to judge. It's not like 50-50 what you're going to get from them. And you don't even truly, your nervous system doesn't even need you to like unload. This is why I'm anxious today or I'm procrastinating today. It just needs you to be connected with someone
Mhm.
so that it knows you're part of the herd, so that it knows you're not going to get picked off by a predator. And if you do those 3 things, it only takes about 5 minutes to do all 3. If you do those 3 things, then you can have more access to your higher level thinking, which will help you uncover why you're procrastinating, whether it goes all the way back to childhood, whether it goes back to a certain message, whether it goes back to a certain trauma. So you have to have a calm nervous system to be able to see really what you're looking at here with procrastination.
Interesting. We need to take a quick ad break, but when we get back, I want to talk to you about reparenting because that's kind of part of this, as well as I'm going to tell you guys if I struggle with procrastination or not. So we'll be right back. This show is sponsored by MIDI Health. Let's be real. Midlife healthcare for women, historically trash. If you've been told, like I have, it's just aging or you'll be fine when you're not sleeping, you're sweating through your sheets, or feeling like a stranger in your own body, you are very much not alone. Even today, 75% of women seeking menopause or perimenopause care are left untreated. That's not okay. But there's good news. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is a women's telehealth clinic founded by experts in midlife health, and they actually listen. You get one-on-one, face-to-face care tailored to your unique needs. And they're the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance, making expert care accessible and affordable. From hormone therapy to weight loss support and lifestyle coaching, MIDI has your back. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Hi everyone, this is Jenny Moness from We Didn't Turn Out Okay podcast. Did you know at Great Wolf Lodge there's adventure for the whole family? You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live-action game that takes place throughout the lodge to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. As a parent who loves family adventures, I love when everything's in one place. It's why I can't wait to take my family to Great Wolf Lodge. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Okay, we're back. What's interesting about that is I'm assuming this is also common that people listening can relate. People assume because I'm really open about all of my neuroses, the self-sabotage, the control, the perfectionism, like all of those things that I write books about. Procrastination has never really been one of mine. And it's only because the anxiety that I future trip about that I know will happen if I procrastinate feels scarier and more unsafe than checking the box off and just doing it. So for me, it's more of a, and I don't know if this is also because of my personality. I'm prone to like risk taking, like, and just like blindly, not well thought out risk taking, just like jumping without thinking. So I think that's part of it. Like that is less painful to me to jump without thinking of the possible consequences of trauma or fear or whatever, saber-toothed tigers. That is less scary than the anxiety that starts to build thinking about the procrastination. So
yeah, that's a really valid. And I have clients that come from that perspective too. So in particular, one of my clients, she's a super high achiever. And what she is discovering is that her particular brand of trauma, big T, little t, tiny t, subscribes her to the perspective of I will literally not get my needs met unless I move forward with this thing.
Right.
And so that is probably part of the programming there. And that's a really valid, it's another type, it can be self-sabotagey, because we jump in and we don't think about the cost to ourselves, the cost to what's going on. We can end up abandoning ourselves.
100%. That's what I do.
Like, yeah, right.
Like my job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do that. So I'm kind of like, now that I don't procrastinate as much, it's not totally gone, right? But I don't procrastinate as much, but I would say I have these pockets where it's like, I will just be like, I'm going in blind and because I'm just not going to procrastinate. And it can be the other extreme.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to whatever that early programming was. Is it safer for you to move ahead blindly and just check off the darn list? Or is it safer for you to hold back and see if you can get small enough and unnoticeable enough that there's no judgment that happens?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mine is more like a wrecking ball. Like I'll just go through and plow through. And sometimes it's not great. And other people are in the way. And yeah, I'm not saying it's a better form of living, but I want to move into reparenting because I've had a couple of guests even years ago talk about this, but I'm always curious to hear different people's perspectives and ways of helping clients through it. So can you talk about what are some practical tools or maybe even like brief frameworks of how we can support our own reparenting and emotional healing that comes with that, or maybe even like something to take to a therapist?
Absolutely. And I will say that a lot of what I do is I help clients find the right therapist because if you've been through any amount of therapy, not everyone has been through this, but the chances are good that you've had some like therapy induced trauma,
Yeah. Or even just having to retell your story over and over to find the right therapist can be re-traumatizing. So yes.
Yes. And then maybe you find out that it's talk therapy that isn't super effective or, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So there are certain types of traumas that absolutely need to be worked through in the right kind of therapy. So that's like a huge piece of this, in that if you have trouble thinking about the trauma or you are having flashbacks to the trauma, that lets you know that you probably need to bring in a therapist, somebody who can actually use some modalities to bypass. You don't want your body to be re-experiencing the pain, right? So I love reparenting because it's so wild. And you know this, that we can go back and we can change those brain patterns that were initially established to keep us safe as little kids. So wherever you didn't get your needs met, and this is especially important if you had this sort of covert tiny T trauma that you don't maybe even still realize, but as you're looking, what's underneath the procrastination, what's underneath the perfectionism, and we start to find this messaging that says, you're not enough, you need to work harder, be better, do more. As you start to uncover those messages, you can start to, I don't want to say distance, but like almost be a little more objective. You can kind of start to remove yourself. Those are not my thoughts. Those are the programs that I was programmed to think. And then as you move through recognizing it as something separate and then having some compassion, of course I learned that. Look at what I went through. And one of the things I think, well, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of the women that I work with, and myself included, we have a hard time looking at our caregivers as flawed, unless that's some work that you've gone through. But at first I was like, well, my parents did the best they could. I had a great child. I couldn't really, I was in denial about any pain that I had because that meant somehow that they were bad. And so I had to go through this process of awakening to they did their best and
both are true.
Yes. And it wasn't what I needed. And so just recognizing, okay, well, that wasn't what I needed. Well, what did I need? Okay, well, I needed someone to say, wow, you're having some really big feelings right now. And that is so painful and difficult to deal with. And it's really normal. And I'm going to be here with you. I won't leave you alone in those feelings. And so you can start this beautiful compassion, like you mentioned at the beginning, the self-compassion that is available to us as adults that wasn't back then because we needed to survive is incredible. And we can start to hold that space for ourselves. And, I had a client last year, she did not do a lot of self-care, self-nurturing things. But she wanted everyone else to do those things for her, she wanted someone else to make her feel special and to buy her the gifts and to do the things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want that too. I mean, I think that's a great thing to want from other people, but she wouldn't do it for herself because she didn't believe that it would have the same effect. And so there was one week where we were working together, or leaving voice notes for each other. And she's telling me, gosh, I'm just really struggling. I said, okay, I want you to go and do something for yourself that you would do for someone else who is hurting. Yeah. And she's like, okay, it's not going to make a difference. And that was me. Okay. Like, Andrea, I'm serious.
Oh, me too.
I was like, this is so cheesy. This is
like mirror work is weird.
Like, really, I have to go and buy myself something. Like, I don't understand. She messaged me later that night. She said, I took myself to the store and I looked around and I told my son we were looking for something for someone who was not feeling well. And he helped me pick out this really soft blanket. And so I bought this really soft blanket and she was crying and she was sitting there with the soft blanket. She's like, and I love it. And I don't know why that worked. And so this self-compassion thing, maybe there's something to it. And I'm like, yeah, man, even for the most cynical ones, the most jaded ones in the bunch, like we can benefit from starting from a place of how would you treat someone else going through this? Because we're nice ladies, we're kind. And we would treat other people with a lot of kindness.
100%. We would buy somebody a soft blanket that if it made them feel better.
Yes.
I love that example of reparenting. And the reason I love it is because I think that sometimes we make up that it's these, arduous, heavy lifting things in therapy or by ourselves. And sometimes they are, sometimes they are these like somatic exercises or psychedelic therapy, which I talk a lot about here, that are these deep dives. And yes, they can be incredibly helpful. They've moved the needle a lot for me. And also those small things, it made me think of something that I hadn't even realized was an instant of reparenting. And this, I want to give this example because this isn't even something that was neglected by my parents. It's sort of a nuanced thing. So I realized a couple of years ago, I had a new friend and we were hiking a lot together. And he said to me one time, and we were genuinely just friends. He wasn't a love interest, but he said to me one time, there's a cemetery that I love to walk through that's near here. And one time he said to me, I've never hiked or walked with someone who stops as much as you do to marvel at the trees. And I said, I didn't even notice that I did it. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, and he was explaining, he was kind of telling me like what I was doing, like even the dead trees. And I'm like, look at how cool they look with the crows and these, I live in North Carolina. So it's like the trees are amazing. And I marvel at them. And the ones with the ivy wrapped around like sweaters. And I always wonder how old they are and how many people have walked through here. And it never occurred to me that that's not something that every single person does, or that it's like, something that somebody would notice about me. And then it dawned on me 2 years after that, recently with Dr. Fox, my partner, not his real name, we were in New Orleans at a ghost tour. it was at a cemetery in New Orleans, which is creepy. And there was a lightning storm happening behind him, and the trees at the cemetery were wild in this lightning storm. And I was squealing with delight. Like I was like holding onto him, and I'm like, this is my favorite thing in the whole world. We're on a cemetery ghost tour. There's a lightning storm that is lighting up the sky, and these trees are marvelous. Are you kidding me? And then I realized after that, I was like, this is what I did when I was a little girl. Like I would go out into nature because I have siblings, but they're a lot older than me. So I essentially like grew up an only child. So I had to entertain myself a lot. And I grew up in California, but at this one particular community center, my parents played a lot of tennis. And at these tennis courts, there was a lot of vegetation and stuff around there. And there was trees. And anyway, I realized that it was a direct connection to that part of me that would just play for hours by herself. Or maybe if I was like, I had like one friend there, like that I had made for the day. And that's what it brought me back to. So this long story to tell you that it wasn't even necessarily like the reparenting wasn't even necessarily something that was neglected in me. It was just something that I loved doing as a child that I allowed myself to really lean into and love again as an adult. And I didn't care if people thought I was weird or anything. And turns out they didn't. I say that because things like that are seemingly innocuous can have profound healing measures for us. So
absolutely
something for people to think about.
Really. And the thing is when I'm working with a new client and I start talking about this inner child part of us, I actually talk about the inner family because we have a part of us that's like the little teen rebel. And that's usually when you're like super angry and triggered, and then we have like the little wounded one. And so when we're talking about our inner family, it can be a little overwhelming. Like you said, like, it just feels like, oh my gosh, it's this whole deep work that I have to do, but really it's not. I mean, it's something that in this day, in this 24-hour container, could you do one little thing for yourself that you would do for somebody else who's experiencing what you're experiencing? Because all of us are stressed. Here's the thing. We all live in this sort of perpetual low level anxiety, low level, survival mode.
Especially right now with just a dumpster fire of like late stage capitalism, like what's happening. Yeah.
Dumpster fire. So when we're just in and we know about it, I mean, we weren't designed, I don't think, as humans to know about all the stress out there and to know about all the tragedies all the time. But thanks to this wonderful gift of the internet, and I it sounds sarcastic, but I'm serious about that. It's a wonderful gift because it has allowed so many other advancements for us that are really, really wonderful. But with that, we have the option to stay in perpetual stress and to stay in perpetual survival mode, to stay slave to the notifications on the phone, to stay slave to the fact that someone can reach us at all times of day and night.
Or just stuck in our office chair. We are not meant to sit in a chair for 8 hours.
No, we're meant to go out in the lightning storms and look at the trees.
And look at the trees.
Look at the trees, you guys.
And play.
That is your take. If you get nothing else from today's episode, everyone, that is it.
Go out with the tree. They're so pretty. And P.S., you guys, I finally did that thing. Have you seen that content about how if you stand near a tree and you stand still, totally still, and there's a branch with leaves near you, and you talk to it and you ask it to come and touch your face, it will touch your face. I did it yesterday and it worked.
Oh, I'm gonna try it. I've never heard that.
Yeah, you stand. I don't know. I was maybe 6 to 10 inches away from it, and I was skeptical because the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. It was just a breeze. It wasn't windy. It was just a breeze, and it was like kind of fluttering away from me. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it this way and see what happens. And so I stood there and talked to this branch, and I was super nice. And I'm like, if you want to touch my face, I would more than welcome you to touch my face. Just follow my voice. And then it started to get closer and closer. And then it would like go back a little bit, and I kept encouraging it. And then it touched my face, and I got emotional. I was like, oh my God, they can hear us.
I love that. And can I just say, like, it's so your personality too, to like pick something where the wind is against the branch and be like, I dare you.
Bring it.
Let's really test this.
Oh my God. I was so excited.
So hard to that.
I know. Okay. Well, I want to switch over to self-sabotage, because that's another one that is, I think, closely related to procrastination. It's like kind of another sister in the family.
Oh yeah.
And so what are some signs that, like, I guess it would be your brain, like, kind of goes into that sabotage movement and it starts cutting off your progress? Like what is happening there? Like, is it different from procrastination? Is it similar? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, actually. So the way that I talk about this is that self-sabotage is the umbrella And procrastination is one of the things under there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
procrastination is a type of self-sabotage, but all self-sabotage is a protector part.
Yeah.
So they're all under this umbrella of a coping mechanism that doesn't help you get your goals.
Yeah. And that is
So
incredibly frustrating, like when you realize you're in it.
yes. So what you'll notice is you may even have some body sensations. Sometimes people can identify the body sensations that go with self-sabotage, but you'll just notice that you feel sort of a perpetual backslide. Like you take one step forward and you go two steps back. Maybe it's your goals that you know are really aligned with you. Maybe somebody wants to write their first book. So maybe somebody wants to start a podcast. Maybe somebody wants to start a new, exercise routine or start a way of operating in their life that's different than what they've done.
Setting boundaries or something.
Oh, girl, don't even get me started.
That's another, come back and we'll talk about that. For
part two later.
Yes.
So you'll just notice that it feels a little hopeless.
Yeah.
And that you feel a lot of shame around not having already accomplished it. Some people are thinking, a lot of women will say, it's too late for me. It's too late. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. I can't actually start doing these things. And I'm like, girl, no, you can start whatever you want at any age, literally, and also what in your brain, where did that belief system start? That's part of the sabotage, is the things that we are believing that keep us from taking the step. So the first, honestly, if you're noticing some self-sabotage, the first thing that I tell people to do, especially if it's something to create a new habit, let's say you've already asked yourself, like, what doesn't feel safe about this, but you actually want to make those steps forward. You've calmed your nervous system. The first thing is to make it the path of least resistance, which, if there are any overachievers listening, that sounds like I just said, be lazy.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. The path of least resistance means you want to go walk after work, but you're struggling because you get inside and then you don't want to change into your shoes and go back outside. Okay. So you pack your shoes, have them sitting on your driver's side seat when you get in your car, so that it's the top of mind thing. It's so easy. Like, why wouldn't you just put those on? Or if you want to walk in the morning, you put your workout clothes right on the end of your bed and you put your feet down, your shoes are there. You make it the path of least resistance. You want to start drinking more water? You have a cup of water sitting there waiting for you when you wake up. You want to read more chapters of your book. You have it open to the page, sitting at your favorite spot to sit, so that when you go, you're not searching. We're taking away the decision fatigue of the goals that you have. Yeah. Otherwise, self-sabotage is the easiest path of least resistance.
Yeah. I'm always going to vote for like turtle steps. That's what I call those. What I do with self-sabotage, and whether I'm coaching myself or I'm coaching other people, when they tell me about their self-sabotaging behaviors, I ask them to journal on, especially if I ask them and they say, that's a ridiculous question, I'll be like, there's an answer there, journal on it. I ask them, what are you afraid might happen if you succeed at the thing that you're trying to do? And sometimes they answer like, I'd be happy. Of course, it's literally my goal. Why would there be anything that I would be afraid of? And so I remind them, like, I think that many of the reasons that we do any of these coping mechanisms is because we're afraid of exposure. It's vulnerable. That's why we procrastinate. That's why we are perfectionism and people pleasing. We're afraid of being seen in any way, being seen as too much, being seen as not enough, being seen at all.
As an imposter. I mean, don't get me started on that.
Imposter syndrome, all of it. And it's all rooted in shame. Like, I'm glad you said the S word, which we don't have time to get into that, but it's all rooted in shame. So of course you're going to self-sabotage. And I don't know about anyone else. I don't know about you, Elyssa, but I love to self-sabotage on a grand scale. Like, I burn that shit down.
Don't do anything halfway, man. Don't do it halfway.
No, like I will blow up my family. I will blow up my business. Like, and then I'm on the other side, just sitting in the ashes going, how the fuck did I get? What have I done? Look at this grand A+ for sabotaging, girl.
You did a perfect job of sabotaging that.
Here I am again. And so it's so interesting to me. I don't have any body sensations. I only have it when I'm done. And I will see it all happening. And granted, I think every time that it's happened, there have been other variables that have been like big variables, like illness but, is that brought on by the self-sabotage? Like
I mean,
major
yeah.
life transitions and like difficult life transitions, like it's all happening, but it's like, is it a coincidence? I have no idea. All I know is that anytime that happens, I just light the match and come running with a can of gasoline. And I'm like, let's burn the whole thing down. Maybe I do it on a grand scale. Again, maybe it's just my personality, or maybe I do it for the story. I have no idea, but I want to add that, like, and I'm going to underscore again what we've talked about already, is that self-compassion is so much of, it's like the skeleton key, because you cannot beat yourself up into healing. You cannot beat yourself up into self-awareness. You cannot beat yourself up into success or getting to your goals. Like, it will just keep holding you back and keep holding you back.
Yeah. Shame never motivated any lasting change. It will motivate a way of living that makes you miserable, but it will never motivate true heart change. Only love and self-compassion can motivate that, and inspiration. So that's where it has to come from. And, talk about lighting the match and bringing the gasoline.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you have compassion for yourself, because at some point you learned that was your best shot at survival. Like, bring it on. Like, let's go full on into this sabotage. Let's blow the whole damn thing up and find out, and ignore whatever else that you're trying to be protecting yourself from.
Yeah.
So that makes sense in whatever context. Nobody else who's been through what you've been through, anyone else who's been through what you've been through would handle this the same way. That's how you would handle it if they'd been through what you've lived through.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And I love how you described about shame and changing behavior. The way I describe it, super similar, just a different verse. Shame will change behavior on a dime, but long term, it's incredibly destructive and damaging. So the self-sabotage, I think the thing to remember too is that there's a friend of mine gave me this advice, and it's a woman wrote a book that I have not totally checked her out, but I want to have her on the podcast, called Existential Kink. And it's not just about sexual kink, but one of her topics that she talks about is that, and I will put that link in the show notes, you guys, because I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she preaches that it's helpful to train yourself to love that part of you that self-sabotages, because that's part of self-compassion, right? Like, it's like when we have shame for the part of us that continues to procrastinate or engage in perfectionism or people pleasing, the change won't happen long term. Like, we have to love that part of ourselves. And it may seem weird and feel weird, like, why on earth would I love that part of myself? The way that this woman, whose name I cannot think of, talks about it is, she says, even if you could train yourself to think, there's a part of me that gets off on that. Like, that's how much I love it. And I'm like, ooh, I love that, because it's kind of sexy and like out of the box. But what if you could like really love that part of you and like even get off on it? Like, it makes more sense though to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I love that question. So here's something that I heard once, that when you have a part of you that is triggered, and that's what self-sabotage is. It's evidence of something that's triggering you to feel unsafe, right? When you have that, there are 4 steps to bringing that part of you in line with what your true vision and true soul direction are. Because the self-sabotage, the only reason it's sabotage is because it takes you away from your true soul direction.
Right.
It's because it's stuff that you really want to be doing for whatever larger goal you have, and you're not able to do it because of the sabotage, right? So number 1 is to notice it. Number 2 is to thank it, to say, thank you for letting me know that something doesn't feel right here. Step number 3 is to love it, like you said.
Yeah.
And then the 4th step, after you can only do this once you've done the first 3, only after you have begun to open your arms to this. So I feel, I had a trigger earlier this year that felt like a cavity in my chest, like felt like a dark hole. And I was weeping, and it's old stuff that I'm allowing to come up now, because my life is so safe now compared to where it used to be. And stuff is coming up sometimes. So loving that part looks like grabbing the dark hole, grabbing that black hole, that cavity, and just pulling her in, and then saying, I'm here. I love you. We don't have to fix anything right now. I just love you, and I'm here. I'm not going to leave you. Once you've done that with whatever the trigger piece is that causes the sabotage, then you can integrate her into your decision-making process. I'm aware now that I have this pain that happened to me. And now I want to allow the part of me that is scared that she won't be heard. So she sabotages the hell out of everything around her. If I don't listen to her, that's what happens. But she's trying to tell me something. And so I love her and I'm going to integrate her. That means I'm going to ask her, how does this feel? We're going to go do something scary. What does that feel like for you? Are you feeling sabotagey? Are you feeling resisty? What does it feel like? So what do you think about that integration piece?
The term that came up for me is from Schitt's Creek when Moira tells David to fold in the cheese, David. Yes,
fold
like
it.
That's
fold it.
How do I do that? You just
How do I do?
That's the integration.
I say fold the cheese one more time.
That's sometimes what it feels like when you're integrating parts of yourself that have felt like it's not helpful.
No.
I love a good metaphor, and I love your cavity metaphor. And I just, like, I imagined you like hugging this big oversized cavity.
Dark
and
hole,
and I think that you have to it's helpful to find a metaphor that resonates, or some kind of visualization that can help. I have my own. And I think it was the question too that you asked about, you said, thank it. And I pose that as a question to people. And I say, what are you grateful for that behavior showed you? And again, I get pushback on that. I'm like, absolutely nothing, because they're mad at it, because it's keeping them from their goals. It's embarrassing them. It's causing them shame, whatever it is. And I tell them, that's when I bring it back to our social conditioning. It's like, you are playing by the rules. Like you're letting your nervous system drive the bus, and your nervous system is the signal that keeps you safe. Like you're doing what you were meant to do. You're participating in a pattern that has started from a long time ago. So that's what you're thinking. Like, thank you for keeping me safe. Yes. But that's not how I feel safe anymore. But thank you.
Yes. There are other places we can feel safe now, because the thing is, the nervous system needs to be updated.
Yes. It's got an old programming.
Girl.
Like 1997. Windows 1 or whatever that is.
Let's discuss. Until you address the old programming, and until you address the pain that was the cause of the old programming, you will continue in that programming. So that programming is literally the reason why we're here. It's literally what helped us survive. And now, and that old programming says other people are in charge of me getting my needs met. So I need to please, I need to perfect, I need to work harder, be better, do more. And so now we get the beautiful, deep, excruciating, wonderful work of saying, I'm your girl now. Yeah. I'm your adult. I'll keep you safe. I'll make sure that no matter what, you have a roof over your head, you get the food you need, you get the affection that you need, you get the rest that you need. And if you never got enough of those things growing up, it's going to take some convincing. So just start building that tiny track record, just one little thing after another. The fluffy blanket,
whatever it is, the trees, whatever.
The trees, lightning storm.
We need to take one more ad break. When we get back, I'm going to ask you about saying no, because I know that's a big one for people. So we'll be right back.
Taking on a DIY job around the house is the ultimate summer project. But if your DIY home security system is a beware of dog sign, when your real pet is Princess the cat, that's safe-ish. To be actually safe, help protect your home with a DIY system from ADT. It's easy to install and gives you virtual assistance from ADT's technical support team. Best of all, you can tell everyone in the neighborhood you set it up yourself. Don't settle for safe-ish this summer. DIY with ADT instead. Visit ADT.com to learn more.
Breaking up is never easy. But saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Okay, we're back. And I want to ask you one more question before we say goodbye, because I don't want to close up without asking you this. We've only barely mentioned people pleasing. So can you give us a tool about how people can start just to say no? We're not even talking about boundaries or anything, but just saying no while pushing aside the guilt. And let's just, leave it at that. How can people start saying no?
Oh, this is at the heart of everything, isn't it? Because when you start to choose yourself, it means you're choosing yourself at the expense of choosing someone or something else a lot of times. And choosing yourself is the healing process. So you have to say no sometimes. Okay. I'm going to tell you the path of least resistance to saying no, if it's a really scary thing. And it's just to make a pact with yourself that you're not going to make a decision in the moment when someone asks you to do something, right? So you delay the decision, because this will allow you the opportunity to decide, do I really want to? Do I really not want to? And your gut will tell you. But in the moment, the people pleasing, I mean, if the only way that you could stay safe when you were little was to need less from other people, to give more to them, and to get your needs met through meeting theirs, of course, you're going to say yes to everything, right? We're going to end up with full schedules, like our souls are going to be crying out for rest and downtime. And we're not going to know what else to do. Essentially, if you can delay the decision of saying yes, that's the first step if you want to really address being able to start saying no with confidence. And then also just recognizing this is really hard for me. And I'm going to be so nice to myself while I'm trying something new. And the inner family parts, like the inner teenager, the inner little girl, like they're going to be going crazy. They're going to be like, what are you doing? You're killing us. And so just being able to sit with yourself in the discomfort of not answering right this second. And then you might end up still saying yes. But if you pause where you wouldn't normally have paused in saying yes, that's a win. That's like a mini no.
Yeah,
that's like almost no. So just start with those tiny baby steps. That's what I think is the best thing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like I will always go for turtle steps. I mean, even just the self-awareness. I tell people like there's this in-between stage. I call it the point of no return, where you're going to learn about boundaries. You're going to learn how to say no. And then you're gonna be like, I'm ready. The next time this happens, it's coming. So then you are presented with the opportunity to say no. And then you hear the words coming out of your mouth that are the opposite of what you wanted to say, but you notice. And then you're like, God damn it. And then the moment is over and the opportunity is gone. That's a win. That's a win because you noticed, but you continued the old pattern, and that is going to happen. Like you learned this language fluently from your childhood. It's going to take you a minute to learn the other way and to learn because you're essentially learning a new language. Your brain is learning a whole new way of being. So go easy on yourself, turtle steps. Okay. I could talk to you for another hour about all of these topics, but we do have to wrap up. So, but is there anything that you want to circle back to make sure that you either say or underscore so you can feel complete?
Thank you so much for this whole conversation, because this is the message that is going to change the world. There's the reason that I even started what I'm doing is because I really believe that a rising tide of women who are compassionate toward themselves and who are doing this healing work, we're becoming unstoppable, because this is now something that is globally a movement for us to get healed, for us to reparent, for us to set boundaries, for us to figure out what's aligned for us. So if there's anyone listening today, I love what you say, Andrea, with turtle steps. Maybe this is your turtle step. Maybe this is the moment where you're just like, there is another way of being. And I'm going to just be curious about that. Wherever you are, I want to encourage every single person listening to start with some self-compassion. There is literally no other way that you could be protecting yourself with your saboteurs and your protector parts than the way that you're doing it right now. Anyone who's been through, like what I said to you earlier, Andrea, anyone who's been through what we've been through would act the same way we're acting. So if we know that there's actually no shame in why we're doing this, it sets us free to have compassion and to just become unstoppable going in the direction of what really lights us up.
Yeah, it's all built on itself, and turtle steps are the way to get there. So thank you so much. Where can people go to learn more about you and your work?
Thanks so much for asking. I would love for anyone to join me in the Stress Less Lounge. This is my free community on Facebook. And if you just go, it'll be obviously in the notes, but ElyssaSmith.com/Facebook is where that is. And I'm also on Instagram at Elyssa C. Smith.
Elyssa Smith and what is it? Stress Less?
The Stressless Lounge.
Stressless Lounge. I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here. This has been such a wonderful conversation that I know resonated with so many people. And listeners, thank you so much for your time. I know how valuable it is, and I appreciate that you choose to spend it with me and my guests. And remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I would be so incredibly grateful if you haven't done so already, if you could leave a review of this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Super easy if you already listen to your shows over there. But if you don't, or maybe you have the app on your phone, but you listen to the show on a different app, if you could leave a review for this show, it matters so much. I wish I could express how much it matters. I also wish that it didn't matter so much, but alas, it does. So if you haven't already, please go review and rate the show. It would mean so much to me. And thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you, you rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.